Here's a polished English translation with natural phrasing and contextual adjustments, ensuring technical accuracy and readability. Rare earth controls are widely seen as China's ace countermeasure in its game with the US on May 20th. Hong Kong's South China Morning Post SCMP noted that China dominates global supply chains for critical minerals like rare earths, with the US lagging by 20 years in heavy rare earth separation and purification technologies. Despite American efforts to reduce reliance through mineral diplomacy, China's dominance remains unshakable in the short term. The article warns that while the US-China agreement has temporarily paused tariff wars, China is tightening control over rare earth and critical mineral supplies, retaining the power to cut off American access at will. In mid-March, Hong Kong Customs uncovered a major strategic resource smuggling case, intercepting 25 tons of thallium TL, a rare metal used in advanced military equipment disguised as medical equipment at a northern border cargo yard. Smugglers attempted to evade detection with aluminum foil shielding, targeting the US market. Weeks later, Guangxi media reported a similar incident. On March 18th, a company declared low-temperature solder paste for export to Thailand, but inspections revealed 55.3% bismuth by content. Though bi is a pnictogen, not a rare earth, export requires special permits under Chinese regulations. The company's failure to provide them led to confiscation. SCMP analysis suggests these cases highlight mounting pressure on global high-tech manufacturers, particularly in the US, as China weaponizes rare earth and critical mineral exports in the trade war. Approximately 70% of US rare earths depend on Chinese imports, and China has added over a dozen strategic minerals to its export control list as retaliation for US tariffs. Renmin University professor Wang Jiasong estimates that a single F-35 fighter jet requires 417 kilograms of rare earth materials, while the Pentagon's strategic reserves of rare earth magnets for missile guidance systems only last 18 months. In this tense landscape, rare earths have become a key variable. China's controls have caused prices for some rare earth elements to surge to 100% to $3,000 per kilogram, impacting global markets. Tesla CEO Elon Musk admitted in a recent earnings call that rare earth magnet shortages are delaying the company's humanoid robot development. Internal documents seen by SCMP reveal US manufacturers attempting to smuggle rare earths out of China without licenses, with at least one shipment intercepted by Chinese authorities. While the US-China Geneva Agreement paused non-tariff retaliation after April 2nd, China has intensified real-world controls. A May 12th Ministry of Commerce statement highlighted joint crackdowns on strategic mineral smuggling, with a May 9th Shenzhen conference launching coordinated operations to combat collusion between overseas entities and domestic smugglers. On May 18th, the Financial Times complained that China's rare earth export licenses to Europe are granted too slowly, disrupting global supply chains, though this reflects Western hawks' frustration with China's refusal to resume rock-bottom pricing. The truth is, as a global rare earth producer, China has every right to determine sales terms. Britain's rhetoric about weaponizing rare earths is hypocritical. US defense giants like Boeing and Raytheon rely on Chinese rare earths for radar, fighter jets, and submarines. Without this supply, their production grinds to a halt. The US has launched global mineral hunts, but remains deeply dependent, as rare earth industrial chains require decades of coordinated development a challenge America has yet to overcome. For now, the US and allies can only smear China with threat narratives, hoping to pressure Beijing into reopening supplies. Rare earths, non-renewable resources recognized globally as strategic assets, possess scarcity and significance unmatched by oil. This ensures that now and for a long time to come, China will continue to hold foreign importers in check, leaving them bitterly dissatisfied with Chinese policies, yet powerless to change them. First, China prioritizes its own needs over Western criticism. The quantity and types of rare earths China supplies are determined by its national circumstances. When China deems it necessary to escalate countermeasures against the West, it strictly controls or even halts rare earth exports, forcing the West to negotiate. The recent US-China bilateral talks, which addressed rare earth exports, highlight America's concerns of China's policy adjustments. Second, rare earth prices will only rise higher and Britain should abandon hopes of purchasing them at rock-bottom prices. Reports show that since this year, prices of strategic resources like gallium, thallium, graphite, and rare earths have skyrocketed, more than doubling compared to the same period last year. This is reflected in the international arms market, where prices of military exports, such as radars and warships, have increased to varying degrees. Third, China is pushing the US to upgrade its industries. Since Trump has been clamoring for industrial reshoring, China is letting the US try spending huge sums to search for domestic mineral deposits, build power plants, construct roads, and hire workers. But it remains to be seen whether the US can truly regain its status as the world's top industrial power. Few countries that have deindustrialized have successfully rebuilt themselves as manufacturing giants. Take shipbuilding, a labor and technology-intensive industry. Constructing a single 300,000-ton bulk carrier requires tens of thousands of workers. As a labor-rich nation, China can sustain its shipbuilding industry, but the US lacks the same practical conditions. If Trump spent more time in factories and mines, he might abandon his unrealistic dreams of industrial reshoring. Unfortunately, power is held by those ignorant of economics, leaving US-China negotiations perpetually lacking. As for Britain, there's no need to fan the flames. China will stick to its rare earth export controls and make opportunistic nations that sit down to eat but stand up to curse pay the price. When China began controlling rare earths, the US, once a major importer of Chinese rare earths, sought to build its own supply chain to avoid being choked. As early as 2022, the US government allocated funds to support MP Materials in mining rare earths in California, while encouraging the company to improve separation and refining technologies to restore America's full rare earth supply chain and reliance on China, and even regain control of the rare earth industry. 3 years later, official data reveals an awkward reality. US rare earth mining output was 42,500 tons in 2022, 41,600 tons in 2023, and around 43,000 tons in 2024. Little to no growth. Progress in separation and refining has been even more minimal. The US exports most of its crude rare earths to China for processing. From January to October 2024, the US exported about 46,000 tons of rare earths to China, worth approximately 863.9 million yuan, translating to about $1.30 per pound including shipping costs, effectively selling them at dirt prices due to lack of refining. Even more tellingly, MP Materials lost $17.57 million in rare earth mining in the first half of 2024. While the amount is not huge, it shows that the US has been overly optimistic about mastering the rare earth industrial chain. In fact, for years, other countries with rare earth deposits have lacked the technology to process them, relying on China as the most cost-effective solution. The US could potentially master the full industrial chain if it invests in R&D for decades, but achieving this in just a few years is highly unlikely. China's accumulated technological advantages cannot be matched overnight. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support makes a big difference. See you next time.